Today I'm talking about a piece of querying etiquette that you really, really do not want to get wrong because it looks very badly when you handle it wrong. My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. Chris came in and says, I might be overthinking this, but is it okay to send queries out after you have gotten an offer of representation but have not accepted that offer? And no, it's not. And I'm going to tell you why there is a bad behavior linked to this that I will explain. There are actually people out here on Taylor Swift's internet who give this as advice, and it is terrible advice. The advice goes like this: that you, awesome rock star, amazing author who everybody is definitely going to want to work with, you send out queries to agents who are small, who are beneath you. And they're definitely going to offer you representation. And once they offer you representation and you have them on your hook, you say, great, thanks, lovely, give me 2 weeks and I will get back to you. And then during that 2 week time, you send out query letters to your dream agents, to the people you actually want to work with. And then, like 4 days after you sent those queries, you send them a follow up and be like, oh, oopsie, oh my gosh, I got an offer of representation. I know I just barely queried you, but wouldn't you know, I got an offer of representation just exactly at the right time. Can you please get back to me? And this is terrible advice for a couple of reasons. One, you should not think of people as being beneath you. You should not think of them as being like, oh, everyone's going to want to work with you. And I know that this is not what Chris asked, the commenter who brought this question up today. I know, Chris, this is not what you were getting at specifically. I am describing the bad behavior so you understand why your innocent question ends up looking like it's part of this bad behavior. So I heard you. I saw what you said. I know that you're not trying to do this, but you're going to get lumped in with these people if you do this thing that you described. So you should not be thinking of agents as being automatically beneath you. And also, like, what are you going to do if they don't represent you? What are you going to do if those people who you thought were so little and so beneath you don't reach out and don't offer representation and you get form rejections from them? That is not going to feel good, but you have set yourself up for feeling terrible. But when you get an offer of representation, the standard industry etiquette is that you reach out to everybody else who has your query or who has your full manuscript or who has the time has not elapsed on their clock yet. And you say, hey, I've received an offer of representation. Would you like to take a look at this? And a bunch of people are going to say, yes, I would like to take a look at this. You know, I hadn't gotten to it yet, but I was probably going to request it anyway. The fact that somebody else offered representation means that there's maybe more to it than meets the eye. And so, yeah, I'll go ahead, I'll take a look. But a lot of people are going to say, nope, I don't have time to read another book in the next 2 weeks. I've got a bunch of deadlines for existing clients, and my primary responsibility is to those clients. So I do not have time to read another book with an eye towards publication right now. So I'm going to have to pass because I simply do not have time. So if you reach out and say, I have an offer of representation, the most likely response is that everybody else is going to step aside. It is not going to be a bloodbath where everybody is just falling all over themselves to read your book in the next 2 weeks. Because it means that they have to put down everything else that they are working on to read this right now. And maybe they were planning to read manuscripts when they went on vacation over the summer. Maybe they were planning to read manuscripts after they finished up this big round of submissions that they needed to do. Maybe like they had a plan for it, but now they have to rearrange all of those plans to read your manuscript, and that's not always going to work. And then even those who do read the manuscript, the people who are like, yeah, I was going to request this, or you know what, I already have this in my queue, I'll bump it up to the front of the line because I was interested in this. You already have an offer of representation. So they are going to be reading with an eye towards saying no. You're going to be okay one way or the other. It is like emotionally fraught for them to go up against other agents. It is worth it sometimes, and they will offer, like plenty of authors do get multiple offers of representation, but not all of them do. A lot of agents are going to be reading through this and thinking like, okay, well, if I don't have time to take this on, or if I don't have the perfect vision for it, or if I don't think that I have a place for it immediately, that this person's going to be okay. They already have an offer of representation. So they are not reading with an eye towards saying yes. They are reading with an eye towards saying no. Which means if you are the type of author who had multiple offers of representation, you should feel like a super special unicorn because that is unusual. That's rare. That's not super common. You are incredible and you should be very, very proud of that fact. Like, be proud of the thing that you did. That's awesome and amazing and wonderful. But to bring this back to the original question, this means that if you are doing this as a way to like trick an agent into reading your work sooner or tricking a bigger agent into saying yes when they weren't going to otherwise, it is always going to fail. And so because this is something that is almost always going to fail, it is known widely as bad advice. So if you are engaging in this behavior, you are the type of person who is taking bad advice and acting on it. So let's go back to the original question was, after I've gotten an offer of representation, can I send out more query letters? with the idea being like, I got an offer of representation, but oh no, there were some people still on my list that I wanted to query and I want to give them a chance. So I'm going to send out a query really, really fast. And then like 4 or 5 days later, I'm going to come to them and say, hey, I got an offer of representation. Would you please read this? But you're not doing it in a malicious way. You just really, you wanted them to have a bite at the apple too. They are going to lump you in with that other group of people. They are going to lump you in with the people who are bad actors, who are acting in bad faith. They're going to lump you in with them because that happens. Because an agent knows how to recognize this behavior. So if they get a query from you on a Monday and then on Wednesday they get a haha, just kidding, I got an offer of representation, the immediate reaction is going to be like, ugh, one of these. Even if you weren't doing it maliciously, they are going to think that you are one of the people who was doing it maliciously. So don't engage in this. The immediate follow-up to this is going to be like, okay, but what if I didn't query the person that I really wanted at the beginning, and the person that I really wanted to work with is not on my list, and I can't. You should have queried the people that you really wanted to work with. That's why did you query someone you didn't want to work with? And if you've got an offer of representation from somebody and you don't want to say yes to them, then you should say no. And that feels scary. But if you come out of that conversation, that offer of representation, and you don't want to say yes, you don't want to jump at it, almost everybody is going to have this instinct of like, well, I'm going to give everybody else their 2 weeks, but I'm definitely going with this person because they were amazing and wonderful and awesome. And you might wind up with multiple offers in which everybody is amazing and wonderful and awesome. And that is the best, worst, terrible, most amazing problem to have. But if you came out of that offer of representation call and you don't think that you want to say yes to them, then you want to say no, and that's scary, but that's your answer.